students at UNC Charlotte, staff, faculty, and other members of the campus community are waking up to the aftermath of a mass shooting.
But it's even crazier when it happens to you, you know? Like it hits so close to home, and it's just a sad day.
Okay, what's
I was in Kennedy.
What's the address?
Kennedy Hall, UNC Charlotte. There is someone shooting.
April 30th, 2019. It was supposed to be an ordinary spring afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina. For the nearly 30,000 students enrolled at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, or UNC Charlotte as it's commonly known, this was a day filled with relief, nervous excitement, and anticipation. The semester was drawing to a close. Final projects were being presented. Exams were just around the corner. And the long-awaited summer break was within reach. At 4 p.m., the campus bustled with life. The sun hung brightly over the quad, casting warm light on the Kennedy Building, one of many lecture halls that dotted the campus. Students filtered in and out of classrooms, backpacks slung over their shoulders, conversations about graduation and summer plans filling the air. To anyone walking across the grounds, it looked like a typical college day, the kind of day that would vanish into memory for most. But this day would not vanish. This day would not be forgotten. At 5 p.m., inside room 236 of the Kennedy Building, the atmosphere was light-hearted. The room, designed to hold around 100 students, was nearly full. About 60 were present, gathered for their final anthropology class of the semester. The professor, Adam Johnson, prepared his students for end-of-term presentations. Groups took turns speaking at the front of the room, sharing the culmination of their projects. Nervous laughter, scattered applause, and the rustling of notebooks filled the air. To the students inside, nothing seemed out of place. But at that very moment, just outside their door, danger was approaching. At 5:35 p.m., a former student of the university, 22-year-old Tristan Andrew Terrell, made his way across campus. Dressed in black, carrying a backpack, he walked unnoticed among the crowds. Inside that backpack was a weapon, a Glock 17 handgun, and the ammunition that would soon change lives forever. Terrell had been planning this moment for weeks. Some would later describe him as isolated, disconnected, a young man whose life had drifted into shadow after dropping out of school. But on this day, he was focused, cold, calculated. At 5:38 p.m., Terrell entered the Kennedy Building. He didn't speak to anyone. He didn't draw attention. Instead, he found a restroom, stepped inside, and quietly began preparing. Students just feet away continued chatting, laughing, and heading toward their classrooms, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. At 5:40 p.m., presentations continued inside room 236. Students spoke with nervous confidence, doing their best to impress Professor Johnson. Outside the door, footsteps echoed down the hall. Terrell moved closer, the sound of a backpack unzipping, the metallic click of a magazine sliding into place. These were noises no one inside could hear, but they were the sounds of a plan moving toward violence. At 5:41 p.m., the door to room 236 swung open. Some students noticed him immediately, a familiar face to a few, but not one that raised alarm. Witnesses would later recall that he looked almost calm. Then, without warning, he raised the gun. Some said he even smiled. And then, in a matter of seconds, the first shot rang out. Panic erupted. Screams filled the classroom. Students scrambled to duck behind desks and chairs. Some froze in shock. Others bolted for the exits. Terrell fired again. And again. In total, 17 rounds exploded into the room. Bullets tore through the walls, the desks, and the bodies of innocent students. Professor Johnson, caught in the chaos, took immediate action. He rushed to one of the doors and held it open, shouting for students to get out. Many sprinted past him, racing into the hallway, down stairwells, and out into the open air. Others found themselves trapped, huddled in corners, clinging to each other in terror. For those still inside, seconds felt like hours. The noise of gunfire was deafening. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. Lives were changing forever in real time. By 5:42 p.m., chaos gripped the entire Kennedy building. Students from neighboring classrooms heard the shots and ran. Some hid in nearby offices. Others barricaded themselves behind locked doors. Outside, word spread quickly. Police sirens echoed in the distance. The campus, once buzzing with the sounds of an ordinary spring day, now pulsed with fear.
Students fled the Kennedy building at the center of the University of North Carolina Charlotte campus as police ran in. Word of the shooting spread across social media, culminating with a chilling tweet from UNCC's Office of Emergency Management. Shots reported near Kennedy. Run, hide, fight. Secure yourself immediately. Police officers say 2 people were killed, 3 critically injured, and 1 with non-life-threatening injuries. Witnesses say the suspect barged into class and fired at least 6 shots at random with a handgun. He didn't say a word. This is believed to be video of him being taken into custody. He apparently smugly smiled and said something to the effect of, "I shot some guys," as he was dragged into police headquarters.
The UNC Charlotte shooting had begun, and in just a few minutes the heroism, tragedy, and heartbreak of this day would become etched in history. Inside room 236, the chaos was unimaginable. Screams bounced off the walls. The sound of gunfire echoed like thunder, each shot shattering the illusion of safety. Desks toppled, papers scattered, students dove to the floor, desperate to escape the barrage of bullets. In the middle of the terror stood 21-year-old Riley Howell, an environmental studies major, an athlete, a reserve officers training corps cadet. To his classmates, he was a friend, a gentle soul with a kind smile. To his family, he was a protector, someone who always put others before himself. That day, all of those qualities would come into focus in the most profound way. As Terrell's gun continued to fire, most students instinctively tried to run or hide. But Riley did the opposite. He didn't flinch. He didn't freeze. He looked at the shooter, calculated the risk, and made his decision in an instant. Riley knew what had to be done. Drawing on the training and discipline of his ROTC background, Riley charged forward. He threw his entire body into the gunman with all the force he could muster. Witnesses recalled hearing him shout, "Go! Go! Go!" as he made contact, urging his classmates to escape while he created a chance for them. The impact was powerful. Riley slammed into Terrell, tackling him with such strength that he drove the attacker backward. The 2 men collided, crashing to the ground. The gun clattered as the fight for control unfolded in the middle of the classroom. But the gunman still had the weapon in his grip. In the struggle, bullets fired. Riley was hit once, twice, then again. Still, he refused to let go. With every ounce of strength, he pressed forward, pinning Terrell against the floor, holding him down, refusing to let the nightmare continue. The last shot struck Riley fatally, and yet he had already done enough. Police would later confirm that Riley Howell's actions stopped the shooting. By tackling the gunman, he disrupted the attack and prevented what could have been a far higher death toll. Dozens of classmates escaped because of his selfless courage. In those brief moments of violence and chaos, Riley embodied pure heroism. He didn't run. He didn't hesitate. He gave his life to save others. Outside, as students fled the Kennedy building, law enforcement rushed in. The sound of sirens filled the air, helicopters circled overhead, and the once bustling campus fell into silence except for the chaos unfolding inside room 236. Within minutes, officers stormed the classroom. Thanks to Riley's intervention, the gunman was already subdued. He sat calmly, the fight drained from him as police placed him under arrest. But the cost was devastating. Riley Howell lay mortally wounded. His classmates, shaken and in tears, would later recall that his bravery gave them the chance to live. Professor Adam Johnson described him as the protector that day, the one who charged forward when everyone else was running back. The campus would soon mourn the loss of 2 young lives, but it was Riley Howell's final act that stood as the turning point of April 30th. His sacrifice ensured that a day remembered for tragedy would also be remembered for extraordinary courage. At 21 years old, Riley Howell became the hero of UNC Charlotte. As the community mourned, investigators turned their attention to the man responsible for the tragedy, Tristan Andrew Terrell. 22 years old, a former history student at UNC Charlotte, Terrell had quietly slipped out of the university months earlier. To many, he seemed withdrawn, awkward, and isolated, but behind closed doors, he was harboring darker thoughts. In the years before the attack, Terrell's life had unraveled. His mother died in 2011, leaving him to live with his father. Friends described him as socially distant, struggling to connect with those around him. He drifted through college without direction, burdened by frustration, debt, and feelings of alienation. Investigators discovered that Terrell had spent months meticulously planning his assault. On his computer, searches revealed a chilling fascination with mass shootings. He studied the methods of other killers, analyzed how they carried out their crimes, and began crafting his own plan. The Glock 17 pistol he carried into the Kennedy building was purchased legally. His clothing, black hoodie, black backpack, reflected the cold uniform of his intent. On April 30th, he executed his plan. He walked into room 236, opened fire, and brought devastation to a community that had never seen it coming. And yet, when his rampage was interrupted by Riley Howell, it ended almost as suddenly as it began. Terrell sat down, put the gun aside, and told police, "I'm done." In September of 2019, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and 4 counts of attempted murder. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. For some, that sentence brought closure. For others, it was only a reminder of the permanent scars left behind. Because while the name of the shooter is etched in court records, his story ends in a cell, alone, forgotten, a prisoner of his own choices. The true legacy of April 30th does not belong to him. It belongs to the students who survived, to the families who grieve, and to Riley Howell, whose courage stopped the killing.